What is up, jabronis? JJ back here from Pure Bets, here to preview the betting slate for Saturday, August the 22nd, here with Holden Kushner. As always, we'll touch briefly on each game. Both of us giving out, as always, a best bet. Holden, despite us not having our own little preview show for Friday like we've had the last few weeks, we still snuck in on the live show, gave out a few winners. Who needs this dedicated show when we can just slide into the Kegs live show?
Is that what it is? You would not have learned about Babe Ruth injecting sheep testicle extract had I not joined that show. So you're all hung up on this thing, and I don't get it.
You don't get it. I mean, no, you make it like that's like normal water cooler talk. Like you want to make your coffee in the morning, and somebody's like, "Hey, by the way, not sure if you heard, Babe Ruth was injecting himself with sheep's testicles back in the early 1900s." Like, no, that's not normal behavior. So yeah, of course.
You weren't around.
I guess you're right.
But no, seriously, he did it. And it wasn't only for baseball. He wanted to have a little boost in the bedroom. I wonder if he needed like Viagra or something. Do you think it's possible that he had a problem in the bedroom?
Considering how popular male enhancement pills are, I could assume he might have.
Let's get to some baseball. You're on fire, man. By the way, you have just been crushing it. Over this past week. It's been pretty impressive, and I like your pick today too. But let's get into this first game, JJ. It's nothing. I don't want anything to do with Milwaukee and Pittsburgh. You might have a different thought on this. The game open, let's see here. What is it? Milwaukee minus 170, and you're getting the total at 9.5. Even though it's Derek Holland on the mound, I don't want to mess with this game. Where are you sitting right now?
Yeah, tough game overall to handicap on a few different fronts. Josh Lindblom continues to take money for every start. I don't know if people just continue to buy in his KBO success. He is better though than his ERA of over 6.5, 6.62. His advanced stuff said that should begin to median out. Now Derek Holland also hasn't been good at all, but I think we kind of expected this, but not again as bad as that surface ERA of 7 is going to indicate. Yeah, just a tough game overall to cap, right? I mean, 9.5 is a decent total for this park. You got two teams that have been kind of up and down hitting the baseball, and Pittsburgh is just a tough game overall to cap, right? I mean, 9.5.
Sorry, buddy.
Oh, it's okay. And Pittsburgh's just been woeful with their bullpen. So tough game overall to say. I mean, if anything, maybe first 5 under, maybe, but even that would be just nothing more than a stab, just because the number's big. But other than that, no, definitely laying off this game.
All right, here's another one. We got a day game out in Oakland, and it's Griffin Canning and Chris Bassett. And once again, we're looking at a game with a total of 9.5. Every game opened either 9 or 9.5. It was just amazing when I was looking at it last night. So 9.5 total there. You've got Oakland, just pretty heavy favorites, aren't they? 137. So again, this is a spot where I really like Chris Bassett. I just didn't like anything else about this game, JJ. I'm on these Oakland pitchers. It seems like most nights they've been really, really good. The question is, what can the Angels do against this guy? And I'm just looking at the Angels saying, I don't know what their offense can do against Bassett. So again, I'm fading. Any lean in this game?
Yeah, so the lean would probably be, if anything, it would be Angels first 5 plus half a run. I think so this is going to be your typical game that I think people look at on the board and just kind of blindly assume I'll take Bassett minus half a run or first 5, or I'll take Athletics here, a cheap number behind Bassett. Griffin Canning is just so much of a better pitcher than we've seen this year. And I know that the surface numbers are bad, the advanced numbers are bad. But he is just so much better than what we've seen. I don't know if it's a mental thing. I don't know. I haven't dug into like his stuff. Like I don't know if he's lost velocity or anything. But I will tell you this for some consideration. So these two met up 10 days ago in the Angels ballpark, and the line was basically minus 110 both ways. So you have to ask yourself, is home field advantage right now in 2020 worth 30 cents to a line? Because ultimately, this line is 30 cents in the other direction now, right? I mean, ultimately, Bassett's about minus 140, whereas a short time ago he was basically minus 110. So, and that's what I think. That's why I think you're getting a lot of buyback on Los Angeles here, because I think people are looking at that. At least I'll call it sharper people are looking at it and going, it's not worth 30 cents difference than 10 days ago. I'll take some value on the Angels here. So just something to consider. You had better value on Oakland 10 days ago than you do today. Now, with that said, in small samples, of course, anything can happen. But if I'm talking value is probably on Angels first 5 plus a half a run.
Let's talk game theory or betting theory here for just a second, because you're talking about value, and you always want to bet the number, not the team as much. But how much does that go into your process, though, that he's up 30 cents from 110 to 140? Like, does that attract you to the matchup even though you're not on a side?
So, it's all relative to you assuming the books have the exact proper line, right? So ultimately you're assuming 10. I guess what I'm saying is, if we're assuming the books had the right line 10 days ago, we're assuming the books here again have the right line 10 days forward. They're basically implying that home field advantage is worth 30 cents in this manner. Now, there could be other factors taken into play, but we'll just, at a surface level, we'll say it's worth 30 cents. And to me, this year in particular, it's not worth 30 cents. So, and I think that other people, because ultimately this is going to be a game where I think your public overall just hammers Oakland. But this line's not going to move that much. I'll be honest. I'd be shocked if this moves that much, because I think, again, your larger handle, I think, is going to be on the Angels here, just because of I think they're going to go into that same logic that this game was played 10 days ago, and home field advantage is just not worth 30 cents as is being indicated here.
I don't know if it's worth anything. There's no fans. I mean, what is the home field advantage at this point?
I'd probably say, just because, and we discussed this briefly as well, between home road splits with pitchers, like certain pitchers just are more comfortable in their own ballparks.
Okay.
So I'd say maybe 10, 12 cents, but I mean, any more than that in this year would be kind of tough to believe.
All right, so now we got an interesting one. And remember, we have 7-inning games today. Don't focus here, because Scherzer versus Costanzo is a 7-inning game, right? We got 2 of those is what we should have. When's the second one? Yeah, tonight. So late tonight. We got 7-inning game. The total here is 6.5. You got Max Scherzer on the mound. Heavy favorite. Open at 240. Now they're between 260. I see 280 sitting around here too. This is a game where you would think that the Nationals just have Max Scherzer out there, but why lay the juice? Even though the Marlins just suck so bad and they're starting to come back down to earth, is it worth the investment in a 7-inning game?
No, I don't think so by any means. One thing I'll say about 7-inning games in particular is, to alleviate some newly added variance for yourself, I would always just bet them first 5s. I wouldn't, because ultimately you can really trim a game to make it just like you would be betting a normal 9-inning game. But when you're betting 7-inning games, you're really adding that extra level of variance. And if you're betting a home team, like run line or any type of thing for 7 innings, like you're literally going to have one more at bat after 5 innings anyway. So, I would say for 7 innings in particular, try to target first 5s to bet, because again, it'll feel more natural for you. Versus some newly added variance with these 7-inning games. Now, this one in particular, Scherzer is what he is, of course, but man, laying 260 with him versus the Marlins, who have been hitting. I mean, they've kind of tailed off a bit, but man, that's such a big number. That's not a number I ever lay anyway. So even if you laid 1.5 runs, I mean, you're still going to be laying vig. And again, maybe at that point, maybe if you can lay 1.5 runs through 5. To get a better price versus 7, because again, you're only going to get one more at bat anyway. It's just something to consider, because ultimately, I don't know how your run lines work at each of your books. Some books offer adjusted run lines for bigger numbers like this. Like instead of offering minus half a run at minus 180, you'll get like minus 1.5 runs at like plus 110, something like that. So if you can get minus 1.5, if you were going to bet Scherzer here, I'd personally recommend you do it for the first 5 versus the full game, just because you'll get better odds laying a 1.5 first 5.
I was looking for his K prop too, because I mean, he just crushes the Marlins. And these are old school numbers, like 13-4, the 3.08 ERA, 22 starts against the Marlins. And this year's got 39 Ks and 26 2/3 innings. So I mean, like
just Scherzer being Scherzer.
Yeah. So what do you think? What do you think they said it at? 7.5? I can't even. I got to go look for it right now.
Well, it's also got to be somewhat adjusted because the game's 7 innings, Holden. So
that's what I mean. Like,
he can't go 8. So. Yeah, I mean, man, I would. I mean, 7.5 would be a big number, I would feel. So, I mean, I would think 6.5 at heavy vig, like 6.5 minus 140, something like that, would probably be fair. 7.5 at slight dog money.
I can't find it on on DraftKings. So maybe it doesn't matter, but I'd be fascinated to see what they set it at. Like, is it 9? Is it 7? I don't know. I don't know what they set it at, but that would be interesting to look into after that game. And if anybody wants to drop into the comments, by all means, go ahead and do so. Before we keep going, I just want to talk about a couple of win situations. Cubs, White Sox, we got some wind blown out to left at 10 miles an hour today. And the Dodgers down in California, we got Dodgers, Rockies, wind blown out to center field at 10 miles an hour. So those are the two big ones. We might have some rain in Atlanta again. That just happens all the time. We got Toronto visiting Tampa Bay. Total is 8.5. And you've got Toronto with Hyun-Jin Ryu on the mound. 115 favorites. That went up from 108, JJ. So that's interesting to look at that. And then you see the pitching matchup. I'm just a big Hyun-Jin Ryu guy. I know he had a great start to last year. He kind of fell behind in the second half, was not quite as effective. But you look at this Tampa Bay team. They're a really good baseball team. Going up against left-handers outside of Brissot and Jose Martinez and Brandon Lau, I'm not afraid of this lineup with Tampa Bay, with Hyun-Jin Ryu on the mound. And then on the other side of things, we'll have Tampa Bay just rolling out like 8 different pitchers. And the Toronto offense is kind of alive, even without Bichette. So this is interesting for me, JJ. I don't have a lean right now, but I kind of am interested in this game.
Yeah, so the old classic worst team throwing out the better pitcher versus the better team overall. Rio's been great. I mean, I think he's even been better than I thought he was gonna start. You always worry about a guy coming from the National League over to the American League, especially a guy that's really not someone who piles up strikeouts. Mm-hmm. But he's been very good to start. I mean, hasn't been excellent, but he's been very good. And here he matches up against Aaron Segers. I'll tell you what, this total feels low. Now, I would say it feels low primarily because if you are, I mean, I know Tampa has always had their struggles, at least the last few seasons against lefties, but their team is a little different now. But they're still struggling against lefties. If you're going to pin Toronto to grab some runs off Segers, I mean, Tampa's got to get Ryu for a few, right? And I mean, ultimately, if this becomes a bullpen game later, you'd probably still lean Tampa. Now, this would probably be more of a bullpen game for Tampa overall, right? I mean, Segers ain't going to go more than 1 or 2 innings, right? I would assume. No,
this is a bullpen game. They got a good bullpen. That's what I was saying, that they're going to roll guys out against this offense.
Yeah, so Jays are playing well. And like I said, to me, this total feels like what it should be, but I don't think it's taking into account how well Toronto's hitting right now. And look, Tampa's been hitting all season. So, for me, if I was going to make a lean, I wouldn't want to touch the first 5 as much because these guys, you would think Tampa will play the platoon game in their bullpen. But we'll probably lean over at 8.5.
Yeah, I'm with you. Hey, if you want to leave a comment or two, Twatty Lottie's in here. But Willie Walker said, Jays won 6 in a row. Do you ride the streak? And I just want to get your philosophies on riding the streak, because for me in baseball, just because a team won 5-6 games in a row doesn't mean I'm automatically going to go to them just because they're hot. And they're going to a terrific team. I mean, the Rays can win the division, JJ.
Yeah, so it's an interesting topic for sure, but for me, it's all about you ride streaks really up until the market kind of reacts with the streak. So believe it or not, like teams will go on streaks and like you don't even realize they're on streaks. Like you don't even realize they're streaking. At least the market hasn't picked up on it yet. Now Toronto here, I do believe this is a bit market influenced. Okay, because normally in this spot, Tampa Bay would be favored here. Okay, they just would be. I mean, you wouldn't have Ryu favored against Tampa on a bullpen day if this game was played a week ago. Okay, so I do believe the market is starting to have some influence, and you can already see the line starting to shift, as you mentioned. Opens like -105, 106, bumps all the way up to -115. May even see a little more steam before it starts. So I do believe the market's kind of already in here. It is a cheap price though on a team that's winning. So you could make that argument, of course, but if you're going to start making arguments for one of these streaks going to buck. This team is on the road. This team is going to be platooned all day by this Tampa bullpen. So I'm not saying this is the time they lose, but I'm just not on the bandwagon at this price today.
All right, buddy. Here's the game I'm really interested in. I spent a long time digging into Boston at Baltimore. So the total opened at 9.5. Now it's sitting at 10. Boston is minus 119, Baltimore 101. So we're looking there. And you can really, there's a couple of places you can find Baltimore at even money if you want to go that direction. But here's the deal. This to me is all about the offenses. And I know you're on one side and I'm on the other side, and we might have to combine those sides so that we got even better odds. But here's what I love Baltimore today, hitting at least 5 runs, okay? They're facing the left-hander Martin Perez. They've hit him already. They beat him up, and they can beat up left-handed pitching. You've got the Boston bullpen, which, again, Boston has said we want to be the worst team in baseball if we can. They just traded Workman. They gave up another reliever in Hembry. They've had 11 or 12 starting pitchers already, and I get a couple are openers, but this is ridiculous. They are rolling out guys that would never see the majors back in their bullpen just because they're going so far down. So Boston bullpen's a disaster. The Orioles have a 900 OPS against left-handed pitching. And with that ballpark, I got in at Baltimore over 4.5 at minus 104. And that's my play today. And we can talk about it a little bit later on because I know you like the other side of this game too. And you might have me doing a little combo piece, but I really like Baltimore.
Yeah. And to be honest, I wouldn't say I like it to the fact that we're going against each other. We like 2 different angles of the game, which both ultimately could hit, but both will result in actually the game itself going over. Because I'm personally, I like Boston's bats here. I'm just not an Alex Cobb guy by any means. I don't care what his surface numbers look like, his advanced numbers look like. He is not a very good pitcher. And Boston is swinging the bats so well recently. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I feel like they've scored at least 5 or 6 runs in like 9 or 10 games, something like that. So for me, Boston's team total probably 5.5-ish. I would definitely lean that over. And if you like your side over, the game over would just seem to make the most sense. But, I like your call at Baltimore. Look, as long as they can get to the pen early on Martin Perez, which wouldn't sound crazy. And if they get to the pen early, that means they probably got a few runs anyway. Makes a lot of sense.
So here's Boston in the last 3 games, 6, 6, and 7. They're putting up runs. And you might actually push me to the whole game total at this point. You make some nice points on Boston. But basically what we're looking for there is 6 runs out of Boston almost?
Yeah.
Oof. God, that Baltimore. I'm just going to sit on Baltimore, I think. But you make some great points with Boston. It's just going to be a situation where Boston's just so goddamn bad, man.
Hey, the good thing is if Boston scores, you'll get your 9 at bats.
Yeah, and there you go again. I'm not as worried about that, JJ, just because. And listen, that's a huge edge, right? You're a home team. You're looking for that extra. If you can get those 3 outs, I just think they're going to crush them fast and furiously. So I can see them covering this a little bit earlier. And then, why do you hate Alex Cobb? Look at this guy this year. He's been amazing. 58% ground ball rate. 19% fly ball rate. Big deal. So he's getting hit really hard on both sides, 43.5%. So you think it comes back to you think he's coming back down to earth today after an amazing start to the season?
I'm not saying it's today. I'm just saying if he keeps doing what he's doing for the remainder of the season, there's only so many line drives that can find gloves, is what I'm saying.
Okay. So Alex Cobb needs sheep testicle extraction injection. Correct?
Yes, he is. Add him to the list of sheep testicles.
You just love that story. So I'll keep bringing it back up. Okay. That's a good one. I just X'd out of my Sports Insight sheet. So give me a second to get this back up here. Okay. And now baseball. Which game did I leave off?
We got Twins Royals.
Jabroni. I can't. I'm doing a show with odds and I can't even find it. So what were we doing?
Randy Dobnak versus Brady Singer. This is like so for me. And again, you have another game where I think people are going to look at the board almost like blindly bet Minnesota here. But I tell you what, I don't know how the game ended yesterday. I assume Kansas City. Did Kansas City hold off and win yesterday?
Late.
I know they started off early. But so these two pitchers in particular, obviously not very good by any means or any stretch. But again, you have a big number for a Kansas City ballpark. 9.5. I'll tell you, man, I probably wouldn't have minded 9 over 9.5. I'm not so much keen on. And again, so Kansas City just continues to take sharp money. It's again, there's usually things I can get a decent handle on. For whatever reason, the market hates Kansas City, but the handle, the sharper money per se, loves Kansas City. They've been betting them all year. I don't know. Not a spot I can back by any means. Not a game I really have any good read on in either direction. Again, probably would have leaned over at 9, not so much at 9.5. Just an easy stay away spot for me. There's just too much variables in this game.
I like Dale Doback. I do. On the Minnesota side. And this kid Brady Singer's actually faced the Twins already twice this season. And I don't know if that's going to be an advantage for the Twins or not, but he walked 4, gave up 3 runs off 4 hits in 5 2/3. So he got into the 6th inning against them the first time. This will be his 3rd straight start against them. I didn't realize that. 5 innings, 5 hits, and 2 runs. So he's been okay. He's giving up runs. I'm with you. I don't have a lean on this game. I don't like it. I do love Dale Doback. Just his name. He's got his goggles, and he's gotten off to a really good start. I mean, if the line was any better, I would lean Twins, but I'm not going to bother.
Yeah, I mean, I tell you, it's one of those games where I think that your overall public is going to be on the under, but the line's already moved a half run into the over. So, it's an interesting spot overall. I think there's a lot of different variables that I don't. Kansas City or Minnesota haven't been teams I've bet much at all year, and this goes into a different conversation where I typically stay in my lane. Like I have my 5 to 10 teams that I will bet and continue to bet. I don't. Again, when you spread out the whole league, you make it so much more difficult to handicap as a whole because ultimately you're more or less relying on your 15-20 minutes of research, if that is it, or an hour per team for a game. Whereas if you have a much larger sample size, I'll call it the eye test per se, over a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. That's why I always advise people. Like I know that you kind of limit your total options, but you're also making better options because you're more familiar with the teams you're betting versus just going on a few different websites, looking up a few stats and making bets. So Minnesota, Kansas City have just not been 2 teams I've been betting all year. But again, Kansas City, from everything I've seen, has been taking a lot of sharper money all year.
Now we got the Tigers at the Indians. The Indians' bats are starting to wake up. This total's at 9.5. Detroit plus 151. Cleveland, a heavy favorite. It went from 175 down to 165. I saw it this morning on FanDuel at 175 or so. Let me tell you a little bit. First of all, Matt Boyd's going for the Tigers, and this is a guy that a lot of people like to target. I want to talk to you about Tristan McKenzie, though. He hasn't pitched in 2 years. He's making his major league debut. Big, tall right-hander. 91, 93 with the fastball. Tops out at 95, so he's not a hard thrower. But he does have an 80-inch wingspan. 80 inches, which is ridiculous. So basically, he's like Randy Johnson. He's throwing the pitch from about, 53 feet? So that's something to keep in mind. Hasn't pitched in 2 years. Missed last year with the back strain. This is a big unknown for me coming into this game, which is why I kind of stepped back. And the only thing that I would consider would be the Cleveland side on offense. So get your breakdown of this with Boyd and then this kid making his debut and Tristan McKenzie.
Okay, so you're somebody who wakes up, right? You go to your sports book, you look at your odds for the day. You're just going to fade Matthew Boyd every time you see him these days, right? Here's what I can't understand. This guy is throwing basically the exact same 4 pitches at the exact same percentage at the exact same velo, and his ERA is absolutely blasted from this year to last year. So for me, and I haven't watched his starts, so I can't sit here and tell you, break down every pitch or tell you his dick size. But what I can tell you is it has to be location with Boyd, right? It has to be. It can't be. It has to be location. He's just not hitting his spots like consistently because it doesn't make sense. Like typically when you see this type of regression from one year to another with a pitcher, it's typically because they lost some velo. They're trying out a few new pitches. They're throwing one pitch more than the other, and it's just not working for them. Everything is almost an identical clone from last year to this year for what he's throwing, the amount of pitches he's throwing, the percentage of pitches he's throwing as far as his like fastball, his slider, et cetera. He hasn't lost any velocity. So at what point does the market begin to buy back on Boyd? So I know that early on, right, you had people, at least his last few starts, like, oh, this is the time he bounces back. This is the start he bounces back. This is where he kind of finds his flow. Maybe it's something in his mechanics. Did he change something in his mechanics? But either way. So this line, and I ask you this. If this was the opening day line, okay, do you believe it would be McKenzie minus 160? I don't at all. Actually, I don't even think this would be like minus 120. I think this is probably more of a pick 'em. So you can already tell the market's already begun to influence on Boyd. Now, they've influenced a lot. Now, the question you have to ask yourself is he now over? Has the market now gone too far on Boyd? And ultimately, it's always going to be a tough bet to make with this guy because of how cold he's been. But I will tell you, at some point, you would think he would get his mechanics back into flow and he would find his control, or he'll be dropped down, I guess, to the minors. Is there even a minors this year? Is there even a minors this year with COVID?
No minors. They'll just put him with COVID people and let him be a leper.
Yeah. So, I think it's tough. Like, how do you ride a guy that's just not pitching well, but now the market's all over his poor, his pitching woes. So not a spot I want to target by any means. Like, again, if I was going to target it, just from a betting principle, I'd bet Boyd just because this line is so different than what it would be 5-6 weeks ago. But, how do you back a guy that just can't throw strikes right now, or at least find his spots? So total off spot for me. Just wanted to give you that little devil on your shoulder. If you're just going into this saying Matthew Boyd sucks, I'm going to bet anybody he plays against. Realize the market's kind of in agreement with you now, and you're not getting any favorable pricing.
Yeah, his fastball velo was 92 last year, and this year it's 91.8. So it really didn't fall off at all. Maybe it's command at this point, but I don't think so. Like, if you're a Matt Boyd guy, you would think, just because of the way he's pitching, that it would continue, to look up. But again, the fly ball rate is what's concerning me a little bit with Matthew Boyd. Maybe it's just a slow start. Maybe we just can't, predict it. But last year he had a high fly ball rate too, JJ. So there's a lot going on with Matt Boyd that I don't like right now because I haven't seen that everything's the same. And I thought even if he had the good year, he's still a fly ball pitcher, and that scares me. He can't hit his spot. So I'm off of Matt Boyd. Stick a fork in him. Dunsky with this show until he turns around. Philadelphia at Atlanta. Again, a little bit of weather maybe. Sexy pitching matchup. The righty, Zach Wheeler, going against the lefty, Robbie Erlin. So I looked at this, JJ. I was looking at Atlanta plus 102. Now they're getting, plus 104, 105, and they're going up against Zach Wheeler. So I think, people are a little bit afraid of Zach Wheeler, but both of these offenses are good, and the Philadelphia bullpen legitimately could be the worst bullpen of all time. Like, their ERA is well over 7. Nobody's gotten off to a bad start like the Philadelphia Phillies have this year. Do you have a lean anyway on this game? It's a tough one.
Yeah, for me, if I can get the Braves as a small dog against Wheeler, for me, I'd probably take that almost every time. And not from like a I love this play, bet it, but like, to me this doesn't make a lot of sense. Like, to me this really should be like a pick 'em, probably like 115, 110 down the middle. The fact that Philly's getting a little extra love here, I guess, could be the Wheeler effect, could be because of Robbie Erlin. Obviously he's not pitching that well. He wasn't really that. He was okay for the Padres. I think he was better than what his surface looked like. But through a few starts this year, again, not so great. Is getting a decent amount of strikeouts, small sample though. But no, not a spot I like in any true direction. Again, if it was going to be a lean, I'd probably just take the Braves at dog money, just because I really figure this game should be more of a pick 'em versus them getting any dog price here.
That's where I'm going with you. I was looking at it. I'm not going to go there, but Braves had a 102. Now we're looking at about 110 or so. Cubs, White Sox. I know you love this one, JJ, so I'm going to hand it off to you. Ronaldo Lopez, you talk about gas can. That's the guy. Kyle Hendricks, been terrific this year. White Sox offense surging, and you get the wind blowing out to left at 10 miles an hour. JJ, let's do it.
Yeah, so for those that know, was on the White Sox yesterday. Probably one of my favorite bets of the year. Only bet this year I've done all year where I've had over 1 unit on a game. So between their team total and the White Sox to win, they won pretty handedly. But so for me, this goes back to the question we said about streaking, right? Because, well, hey, why not go right back to the White Sox? Right back to the White Sox, right? You get plus 165. Well, here's the thing. Whenever you're talking about streaks, you always got to ask yourself, well, when do you think it realistically should end? Okay, not so much could end, but should end. Okay, it probably ends in a game where the White Sox don't have a good starting pitcher going. Okay, probably ends in a game where the White Sox are going up against a good starting pitcher. Probably ends in a game where they're not going to be home. A lot of check boxes there against the White Sox to win this one. Now, what I will say is we get the Cubs, who have been a little Jekyll and Hyde with the bats, who draw Ronaldo Lopez, who is making his return start after a few weeks out, where he got absolutely blasted, and then last year he wasn't good at all. So you'd have to, and there is a slight wind blowing out of Wrigley, right about 10 miles an hour. The lefties for the Cubs should really eat tonight. I would expect them to get some runs on the board. And look, Hendricks has been great, but the White Sox are just seeing the ball so well right now. You'd have to figure they'll put 1 or 2 in the seats again. I mean, what, they hit 6 home runs yesterday? Now, I know Hendricks is a great ground ball pitcher. He does do a good job of keeping the ball in the ballpark. But, man, this team has been pesky. They're taking pitches. And the whole lineup, I feel like the guys that are hitting 7th and 8th are really good too. So, ultimately, very, very good lineup up and down. They're hitting the ball very well. I like this over the total at 10.5. It might look like a big number, but again, you got that wind blowing out of Wrigley. You got a real hot team in the White Sox hitting, and you got a real bad pitcher for the White Sox going. The Cubs bullpen has been a mess. If it gets there, or the earlier it gets there, the better. White Sox bullpen's been good, but they might be hitting that bullpen early, depending how good or not Lopez looks today. So, for me, over makes a lot of sense in this spot. Have this at least at 11, a little over 11 actually. So happy to jump on 10.5. It's going to be my best bet for the day.
Yeah, my only concern with this one is that Hendricks, A, is pitching really well, and B, is going deep into these games. 7 innings, 6 innings, 6 1/3 innings. So what you're doing is really minimalizing that opportunity to see the Cubs bullpen. But my God, it's just like you watch the White Sox and you go, how is this possible? And now all you need is a couple of fly balls, right? A couple of fly balls in left field, they're going out. They're done. They're out of the whole ballpark. So I'm riding with you on this one. I like this one. It is a little bit concerning because Hendricks has been so good and he's gone deep, but man, he's going up against one of the best offenses in baseball right now. I mean, they're just every one of them, it seems like, can hit a home run except for Danny Mendick. They all just crush.
That whole lineup, that whole team is slapping. Like, it doesn't matter what inning you're starting in, who's hitting to start off the inning. They're all slapping it around. And there was a few deep fly balls yesterday that made it to the warning track that I can promise you would go out tonight. So we'll see.
Hopefully the wind's still blowing out. That's the other thing, like just being at Wrigley, because I grew up going to Wrigley in high school, and you'll see the wind blowing out, but it's also swirling. So maybe it's swirling by home plate. But again, if I can get double digits with the wind blowing out in that place, it's a completely different ballpark. Just like when the wind is blowing in 10 miles an hour, 8 miles an hour, that's the best pitcher's park in baseball.
Oh, yeah.
No one is hitting. Everybody thinks, the ball flies out at Wrigley. It's only a few times a year that it really gives you the advantage. Hopefully tonight is one of those nights. Hopefully. We'll see. So Cubs, White Sox in the books. Here's one. Couple left-handers. We got Cincinnati at St. Louis. Loved the under last night, and I don't love it as much tonight, though. Cincinnati, St. Louis, total 9.5 minus 10. And Cincinnati, well, they went from the favorite. Now they're a dog at 120, 115. St. Louis, favorite 119, now up to 130, 127, bouncing around there. Why did this move so much with Cincinnati and St. Louis? I don't get it.
I can't speak to specifically other than the fact that Wade Miley's terrible. And it's so surprising, right? Like, because he wasn't like this at all last year. Was it last year or the year before? When he was so good at home. I mean, for Houston, he was so good at home. Practically unhittable at home. On the road, he was a completely different story, though. But it's very difficult to figure out because look at it. I mean, last year his ERA and FIP and xFIP were all in the high 3s, low 4s, and now you're looking at an ERA of 16, FIP over 5 and 6. Just a real tough situation to figure out with him. I guess it kind of brings you back to the Matthew Boyd conversation, right? Now, Kim was a good pickup for the Cards out of the KBO. Through for many years in the KBO with a tremendous amount of success. Early on here, he's off to a decent start, right? ERA 3.86. Surface numbers do not look nearly as good, though. And he doesn't really strike anybody out, which I guess could be another problem. But, tough game overall to handicap because, again, you're starting to talk about market influence against Wade Miley again. And, if I was going to bet this, it would probably be a lean first 5 over. but definitely nothing to love about this game for many different reasons.
Well, I mean, Miley throws a ton of cutters, and they've been just getting hammered this year. It's as simple as that. He's been getting hit really hard, and the balls have been going up in the air. So that's where Wade Miley is right now. I liked your breakdown of the other side. The question is really, because St. Louis struggles against left-handed pitching, but Miley's been bad enough to where I'm not, and I'm talking about like individual bats. Maybe if you just look down at the thing, maybe St. Louis is okay against left-handers. I don't buy it because I break this down. Besides for really, first of all, none of them are doing anything this year. They stink. Like they are really struggling. And then you go back the last couple of years, Edmund Goldschmidt, and that's about it. Besides for that, they don't have much. So if you're on the Cardinals side, please let me know why. I don't get it.
Yeah, just a tough game overall.
Yeah, let's just move on. It's disgusting. I don't like it. Houston, San Diego. Here's another interesting one. Your boy, Zach Davies, one of the two best pitchers in Major League Baseball, okay? Right now. Brandon Bielak going to the mound for Houston today. So you get another young guy in that game. The Houston bats are waking up. Sandy, you gotta figure, is today the day Zach Davies just blows up, or is this for real? I don't know how much the start's going to tell you today, JJ. I'm looking forward to thinking about that. And then as far as Bielak goes, we know San Diego has the bats. I looked at this game and then I got away from it really quickly. The totals moved up from 8.5 to 9.5, still at -15. Houston is a favorite, round 120. San Diego 130. So maybe, since Houston's starting to wake up a little bit, can we go in that direction today, JJ?
So I'll tell you why. This total moved up. Now, the only game I've actually lost on our spreadsheet this week was a Houston over, in which Bielak was pitching on Tuesday, I believe, Monday or Tuesday. Now, this is a guy with an ERA of 1.69 and an absolute disaster of FIP and XFIP. Both, in that 5 neighborhood, doesn't strike anybody out. Zach Davies, same way, doesn't strike anybody out. Now, Davies' numbers, at least from an advanced perspective, look a little better to start this year than last year. But, this is the thing, right? Like, Houston started finding their bats. Now, they lost yesterday off of a fairly cold day, per se. It was a 4-3 game that the Padres won. Now, the Padres are in this, like, little – they're doing it again like they did earlier in the year, right? They're kind of like going streaking again with these wins. But, it can't be forgotten that the Astros lost yesterday, but they won about 8 straight before that. So you have 2 hot teams coming into this game overall as far as wins go. For me, it's not a spot where I'd want to target the over. I watched that game on Monday with the Rockies and Bielak, and it just felt like the wrong play. Like after I watched it, now I know that. For me, it was all the advanced stuff. Like Bielak is going to get gas canned at some point. Like people are going to pile up runs against this dude if he keeps doing what he's doing. But I'm not somebody who chases that per se. And Zach Davies was a similar thing. Like Zach Davies, when I bet against him last year, I don't think I won 1 game. So I don't love Zach Davies for a few different reasons. But another guy whose advanced numbers just don't correlate well to what he looks like on the surface. But credit to him, he finds ways to get outs. Left on base percentage of 60%, which is well below league average. So yeah, ultimately, not a spot I want to target in any means. Look, I love my Padres and how they've been playing. They're not my favorite team, but as far as from the betting markets, they've been my favorite team this year. But no, I don't want, when 2 hot teams collide with one another, I don't want any part of the game for a few different reasons. And then here, you have 2 pitchers who look good on the surface, aren't really good actually. So, yeah, just not a spot I want any part of.
Non-betting thought, just real quick. What the fuck is Major League Baseball doing not having any games until 4 o'clock? Nothing. You have the NBA playoffs. Why are you doing this? What are you doing? Get 1 early game. Can I get 2 early games? This makes no sense.
Yeah, that's why. I had some people ask, like, "Hey, can we get some plays in the sheet because we got games starting?" I'm like, the games don't start for another 6 hours. Like, we're good.
There's nothing. Seriously, first of all, they blew it. They had an extra 2 weeks where they could have had games. They didn't play them then. 3 weeks, actually. And now they have no-day baseball. It does not make any sense to me, JJ. It's the dumbest thing. And I was having a conversation about this this morning. It's like, why would you not do this? all eyes are on you. The viewing is up. Women are watching more. Children are watching more. More people want to watch baseball. We got nothing else to do. So good job, Major League Baseball. Way to shoot yourself in the foot again. There is no.
Yeah, one thing to mention. So, like for this game, real quick, like the Padres are now minus 130, and I think that the Padres overall will probably take the most money for this game. I know that there's obviously some injury concerns with Houston. I know Bregman. I don't know if Gurriel might be too, but like it doesn't. These guys haven't been really hitting all year anyway, so it's like it doesn't matter. Altuve's finding his bat. Springer's starting to find life. Now maybe they found life in Coors, but like people do this too often. Like they overanalyze like what single players mean to baseball games. Like I saw last year where Trout got taken out of a game and the line moved 35 cents. Do you really believe Trout is worth 35 cents to every line? Absolutely not. Look, he's a great player. He's tremendous. He's not worth even 15 cents to a line. Maybe 12, 14 cents. One player, 3-4 at-bats in one game is worth 35 cents to a game. I'm sorry, it's not true. Look, Bregman's a great player. If he's out, fine. But you're not going to see lines shift all that much when star players move. At least initially, when star players are ruled out, the market will be influenced, of course. As Trout's out, or Chris Bryant's out, or Bregman's out. Let me bet the other side now because one batter is not going to be in the lineup. Look, it matters, folks, but it does not matter near as much as the market thinks it does.
Yeah. So you got Bregman on the IL, so he's gone. They put him there on Thursday. Yordan Alvarez, who showed up for a couple of games, he's done for the year. Michael Brantley's still not back. So they are missing some big pieces here. Ledmus Diaz, too.
Could you argue karma?
Huh?
Could you argue?
You know what, man? Hey, Willie Parker, don't you rip me for my Minnie Mouse Cup, dude. This thing. I mean, we talk about alphas, right?
That thing is so alpha.
Yeah, it is. Everything I do. I got this. Dude, don't mess with me. I'll whoop your ass. You're going to get beat up by a guy with a Mickey Mouse coffee cup. Think about that, Willie.
Yeah, you'll whip his ass with the coffee cup in your hand.
Oh, it's a Minnie Mouse. Yeah, probably. I mean, there's no doubt about it. Texas, Seattle, Jordan Lyles, Justice Sheffield. I love attacking Jordan Lyles. Justice Sheffield, though, gas can couple starts. Now this top prospect is starting to round into form. You look great. So you got to figure out which Justice Sheffield you're going to buy into. Is it the guy the last couple of starts with the pedigree or the guy that was overwhelmed? Total here is sitting at about 8.5, -10, -20. If you bounce around, you can find some decent numbers there. Texas, a +130, and wow, Seattle, -140. That is a big number. So, JJ, if you're into this game, I think the first thing you got to figure out is whether or not you buy into Justice Sheffield.
Yeah, and I personally do. I think if I'm betting this game, for me, it would be a first 5 under. I don't want to touch bullpens here. I don't want to dig into the weeds. Both bullpens aren't very good overall. But yeah, I mean, I do believe in Justice Sheffield, and I think that the Mariners are so Jekyll and Hyde offensively. They really, it's really home run or bust, at least for them to be able to score a decent amount of runs. They very rarely just string hits and hits and hits and hits together in an inning. So for me, I would probably lean first 5 out. It's a big number. And I think that's why it's kind of come down a bit, but I still kind of like it. You should be able to get a first 5 number of 4.5, decent vig. That would be my lean. Definitely not a spot I love. Seattle, I've bet only a few games this year. Texas is the same. So not a spot I overall love by any means, but big number here. I would lean the under.
Does Twatty work? Twatty's in the Discord all the time. He works with us, right?
Yeah.
The other night, we just did a show with him.
Yeah.
He came up with a great stat, and I think he's going back to the well today. Yesterday, and this is a completely different game, so I'm going to give you a shout-out, Twatty. He's like, go look at the Brewers and the Pirates in the first inning. They're two of the worst scoring teams in the first inning. You had 2 really good pitchers on the mound. It was like 1-2-3, 1-2-3-4 in the first. Boom, he hits. I mean, that's like a real niche play right there, and that was a good one. I mean, it was good. It was a great play, and I think he's going back to the well again today. Is this a free show or not?
This is a free show. I mean, Twatty's heating up. Twatty's heating up. That's all good. Twatty's heating up.
I don't want to tell anybody.
Twatty's found his stroke.
Really? I think so too. We're
gonna have to get the fire extinguisher out soon.
I might go back on you today, Twatty. I don't know.
Twatty's got a big night tonight. He's got to consume 45 boneless wings from Buffalo.
Oh, this is tonight. I thought it was only 32.
No, it's 45.
Ah. So let's talk about that for a second, because the sweat show. There's a sweat show on the bet side. And I hopped on the other night. JJ's like, let's go have a good time. We both gave out winners. We're really good. Joey Work was on there, and he gave out another. All those guys are giving out winners.
Joey Work made what you would call a cameo appearance.
He did, and he was quiet the whole time. But I asked him, should we go with the Tigers? He's like, I'm on the Tigers already. I said, good, we're on the Tigers yesterday. Money line, plus 160. It was beautiful. But go in the Discord. If you sign up, first of all, there's great deals on for the rest of the month, right? Don't we run a discount for the rest of the month until August?
It's 20 per week, 60 per month, but it'll be they'll have a combination for the DFS end as well, which will be super, super cost effective.
Like at this point, if you're watching this for free and you're not with RunBets, $20. Give it a week and see where you are. I am up, and mostly because of these guys. I'm going to tell you the truth. I mean, I've been hot in baseball lately. It's going to come back down to earth soon, but I'm telling you, I've never been around a bunch of guys that are better at what they do. It's like a betting syndicate, and all these guys are just popping plays in the Discord. All right, enough blowing you, JJ. You obviously don't like it, so JJ's the only one that sucks. Anyways, Colorado at the Dodgers, 8.5. So the total was bet down from 9 to 8.5. Colorado, major dogs here. I see him at 200. You can get him at 200. You can get him at 193 all around. The Dodgers, 210 favorites. I mean, this is interesting. Dustin May has gone out, really pitched well. Freeland's having a good season too, and I've seen him really pitching well against the Dodgers in the past. So if you like dogs, maybe look into this one a little bit more. How stupid is that, JJ?
So Kyle Freeland was on the other side of the hill of my over on Monday or Tuesday. Just another guy that surface looks one way and his advanced stuff looks another. So I'm not somebody who chases that. So like if I see two pitchers that are matched up against each other that have that, I typically just immediately want to target the over before the next day. Like at night, I want to target the over. If I feel like it's at least half or a full run off. Now here, I'm not going to chase that regression. The same thing with B-Lat. I'm not going to chase it. Now I don't know the full stats, but I feel like the Dodgers are just have been better against right-handed pitching than left-handed pitching. I could be mistaken there. But needless to say, like if Freeland continues doing what he's doing, he's going to, I guess, at least semi-implode, at least against his ERA in the twos anyway. Now, again, for me, too big of a line. I wouldn't lay this anyway with the Dodgers. I wouldn't lay first 5-run line. I wouldn't lay run line for the game. The total now is dipped to 8.5. You could argue some value there on the over, but now Colorado's kind of in a little bit of a slump. Been outside of Coors for a while, so maybe you'll need the Dodgers to really pad that number for you if it hits. Just not a spot overall I want any part of. And even Joey Work was like Colorado or pass. I mean, that makes a lot of sense.
What did you say about the Dodgers against left-handers?
I would figure, based on what I've seen, call it the eye test, that they would be better this year versus right-handed pitching than left-handed pitching.
Well, I'll tell you this much: their ISO is 129. They got one of the 5 worst ISOs against left-handed pitching.
So they've been bad against left-handed pitching.
There you go. Okay. I mean, power-wise, at least, you know what I'm saying?
I've just seen quite a few starts where lefties have gone up against them and have done well. So it does make sense that.
Yeah, it makes sense. Makes a lot of sense. All right, so we got a couple more games to get to here. Arizona at San Francisco. Total's 8.5, minus 18. The Diamondbacks are heavy favorites with Zach Gallen on the mound, minus anywhere from 155 to 167, and San Francisco's getting plus money at 140. We've talked about the Giants' offense. They have been good, and especially in some certain matchups. They're crushing, and now they get this. They get the rookie catcher up. He missed a home run by a couple feet last night. Up against left-handers are great. Now we're not talking about left-hander. We're talking about Zach Gallen, and in this one, I'm not feeling that comfortable going to the Giants side. I usually love a little bit of Giants action. JJ, to me, Gallen is. He's nothing special last season, but what we've seen from him so far this season is a little bit more velocity. He has still given up some fly balls to right-handers, but he's really controlled the left-handers, which is where the Giants are going to be strong. I do not like the Giants side tonight.
Yeah, so for me, team total Diamondbacks over would be my lean. You're guaranteed 9 at-bats. Arizona's got plenty of right-handed bats. I don't want to flirt with anything Giants related just because they're swinging the bats well, but now they go up against a good pitcher. So for me, the team total makes the most sense. You should be able to get that. I don't have the numbers in front of me specifically, but I would assume that's going to be about 5-ish. You might have some books at 4.5 at heavy vig, some books at 5.5 at dog money. Definite, lean. We'll meet in the middle here at 5. My favorite bet for this game would be team total over Diamondbacks 5 runs.
You like it? Like it?
That would be a strong lean. Again, as far as a bet I'd make, I'd like to see that line dip a little more. I know it's already dipped to 8.5, the total. If somehow that line can dip to 8, or maybe some Giants buyback can come in, because Giants might be a popular play here with how well they've been hitting. If in this, when we talk about correlated movement, if this line drops to minus 145, and this line can drop to 8 or 8.5 at heavy vig in favor of the under, that team total for the Diamondbacks will become 4.5 at minus 125, minus 135 ish, and that would make a lot of sense.
Yeah, I don't want to mess with Gallen. I just don't want to do it. I've seen a couple of these starts here; they're good, and I do love what the Giants are doing. Yastrzemski, Joey Bart, that's the kid's name. Last night, the catcher, he's the one that went deep. And Twatty's saying he likes the Giants plus a run and a half, minus 110. Man, they might keep it close. That's not an awful thing. I just don't like the Giants to put up big runs tonight.
Yeah, it depends. Like I said, I think you got to punch at least the Diamondbacks in, right, for 3 or 4 runs. I mean, I would think between the Giants bullpen. I mean, it's just you would think the opportunities will be there for the Diamondbacks to score, despite being in the big ballpark. So for me, if we can get 4.5, you just need that extra run or two to stretch it over. That's why I like it. All
right, I think we went through every single game, dude.
Yeah, we did it.
You got any questions? Any stuff in the chat? Anybody want to ask us questions? We got it in the screen.
I think somebody said something about Arizona moneyline before. I missed it though. I'm trying to see if I can find it.
Yeah. Joey works like Gallen needs 2 more quality starts to get the record.
2 more quality starts to get what specific record?
Yeah, I don't know. That's what I'm saying. Maybe you knew something about that.
Consecutive quality starts in a row, maybe. But even that,
I don't know. What is it, Joey Work? Type it in, dude. I want to know what you're talking about. But yeah, again, my pick is Baltimore over 4.5 today. I love picking on the Boston bullpen. I just love picking on everything with Boston. Perez is going. They should be able to just torch him. Martin Perez, left-handed pitcher. And again, I'm trying to convince myself into this game over. I'm not as high on the Boston offense as you are, to where I would feel really comfortable with them scoring 5 runs. Can they get to the 6? So for now, I'm going to sit with Baltimore over 4.5, minus 104. You?
Yeah. For me, it's the game over Wrigley and the White Sox at Wrigley. Cubs White Sox over 10.5, minus 106. I mean, for a few different reasons that over just at that number makes a lot of sense. Now, Joey Work said that the first 21 games of his career were quality starts.
Wow. I don't like it backing him.
That is really impressive, though.
How is that possible in today's game? Don't you have to go 6 innings?
I tell you what, Holden, it wouldn't be possible if they made steroids mandatory.
I know, man. Did you read that article I sent you?
Yeah, it was funny.
Go read it, man, because it really is. So people have just used juice for so long, and it started in the late 1800s, and then Babe Ruth using this sheep testicle extract. And then you get the greenies, and Hank Aaron apparently used some stuff too. So
Schwarzenegger used to use horse steroids.
What's Lasix do for you?
That I think it has more to do with stamina. But
you can run a lot longer if you shoot yourself with Lasix, and I feel like he probably took some Lasix too, because you can.
When I was like 8 years old at the track, my dad was like, just always focus on those circled L horses.
Yeah,
that's when they got that Lasix thrown in them. I'm like, I can't even legally bet here for 10 years.
Oh, it's free. I don't want to give out Joey Work's pick, but
yeah, no, another good show, Holden. Thanks as always for popping in. There'll be a live show tonight, guys, on the same channel. Of course, as always, they'll be doing the UFC card, obviously giving out some baseball, basketball. I will try to be on later tonight with them as well. I'm hoping to come on like 10, 11-ish with them. So yeah, there'll be a bunch of live bets, and look, you'll be able to get to watch Twatty see if he can put down 45 boneless wings, which would be quite impressive. I mean, he's been pretty cocky about it.
I thought he had 32 minutes. How long does he have to do it? I don't remember any of this conversation. I just think he can do it.
Yeah, it's 32 minutes and 30 seconds, which also he busted our balls on that too. So 32 minutes and 30 seconds to do 45 wings. So it's basically about 45 seconds of boneless wing.
Yeah, that dude has a gigantic trap, huge belly, totally going to go over.
Wow.
Do you have any money on it?
Yeah, I think Jay's got a nickel on it.
Well, what about you?
I mean, I could.
Yeah, my nickel is $5.
Okay. And this is the thing. Like, we probably could have squeezed him out for like 5 or 10 more if I wasn't an idiot.
Yeah.
But I mean, if he does 45, you just got to tip the cat. That's a lot of boneless wings.
What's the line? All right, Twatty plus 3.5.
Well, he's going to order. He's probably going to order 45. I don't know if you actually can. He might have to order 50. But either way, I think if he does it, he's got to do it like finish it and then eat like a few slices of pizza like in front of us just to really kick us in the nuts.
I don't know why you do that. Do you ever do eating contests?
Oh no, I eat like a pussy. I don't eat.
I haven't had a hot dog in 30 years, at least. Hot dogs are disgusting. They make me sick. I can't do it. Like, if you guys had a hot dog eating contest, you'd beat me. I'd take one bite and puke. So I'm looking forward to going on that show again. I loved it. That live show is so much fun. Keg and those guys did a good job.
Definitely a lot of fun. Yeah, Joey, slide in the DMs. We'll come up with something. Whatever you want to do.
Always Joey wants some action on this. All right, guys. Go have a great day. Have a great night tonight. Sweat Show was the betting show, live show, I should say. What time is it again?
Yeah, it'll probably start about, I guess, 6:37-ish, somewhere around there.
If you're watching this, you don't have a sub, it's only $20. Give these guys a week. I'm telling you, the bet sheet has been these guys just crush. It's as simple as that. We will catch you. When are we doing a show again today? Well, Thursday. Me and you will be back on Thursday.
We'll be back on Thursday.
Adios. Amigos.
Yeah. Later, guys.